Mayor Wild and I decided to hold this town hall meeting to discuss the serious issues and incidents that recently took place and to answer your questions and hopefully to listen to what you have to say about what happened as well.
On May 2nd, Student Senate unanimously passed Resolution 11-1244. Dr. McDavis alluded to this. This resolution laments last weekend's horrendous incident on Palmer and condemns the disastrous behavior displayed by Bobcats and their guests in attendance at the fest. This behavior is wholly unacceptable and is completely incompatible with the values of Ohio University and the Athens community. It is destructive to the sanctity of a city, the dignity of an institution, and the reputation of our local culture. Our actions as Bobcats will be judged not only in the eyes of a city and its government, or in the eyes of a university administration, both of whom have had to shoulder a terrible burden as a result of our carelessness. We will also be judged in those eyes more difficult to avoid, those of our peers and even those of our character. While I commend today's solidarity, I wholly regret its necessity. It is incumbent upon every member of our community, especially the students, to protect this community's sanctity. It is thus up to us students to redeem ourselves in the eyes of some of those we so carelessly afflicted, police department, fire department. I'm confident in the knowledge that most of my student peers share my reverence for the great ideals that have made this place our home. I am also confident that we will mobilize to repair this recent disgrace and once again behold the fruits sown by cooperation. Thank you.
Do not allow your house to host a nuisance party. It is your duty to control the premises. The Athens City Code states that any person who is an owner, occupant, or tenant, including who either sponsors, conducts, hosts, invites, or permits a party is subject to this rule. Penalties. First offense is a minor misdemeanor. That'll cost you money. A second guilty offense is a fourth-degree misdemeanor with a possible 30 days in jail. Let's not put that on our resumes. Finally, I would like to reiterate the earlier sentiments of condemnation of the behavior by many at the unsanctioned multi-house party approximately 10 days ago and recognize Student Senate's resolution and all of you in attendance. We count on each and every one of you to do the right thing. This is who we are. We are OU, and we are the beloved city of Athens.
We've had almost 150 students volunteer their time this Saturday to come out and wear a t-shirt symbolizing their role with the university to try and keep the fest safe this weekend. It's been a phenomenal response, so we couldn't be more pleased with that. So I just want you to know that students are equally kind of behind this effort to do that. From a reactionary perspective, I do want to let folks know that it is our student code of conduct. We do adjudicate all cases that happen on or off campus. I'm not proud to say that every year as a result of the fests, we lose dozens of students from this university. 2 years ago, we lost 40 students. Last year, we lost 35 students. So we're taking the behavior very seriously when we do learn of those infractions that take place. So I just want to let you know that. But most importantly to me is the fact that students clearly feel the same way that we do, which is evident from their response to our call for their help this weekend.
A lot of people think that we sanction these, and we don't, nor does the city. So, but as the mayor pointed out, people have a right to assemble. It's a constitutional right. So given that, what we're trying to do is to figure out how can we better educate students about how to act. Now, we're also aware, because many students this week have said to me, Dr. McDavis, it's not about us, it's about students that come here from other places. I'm talking to the presidents of other universities in Ohio and outside of Ohio about this. Because it's not fair for students from Columbus or Oxford or wherever to come to Athens and act out and leave here, leaving us with a bad reputation and a bad stain on our students' reputation, and they go back home. So I'm very aware of that. So we're trying to take any means necessary to deal with this matter, and part of that does involve disciplining students, but the other part involves educating students.
Disorderly behavior and riotous behavior is not constitutionally protected. That's absolutely right. But what we have to respond to is actual behavior, not potential behavior. So the right to assemble is protected, and we can't prevent people from assembling. What we can do is address the assembly if it becomes disorderly, which is what happened 10 days ago, and then we responded.
Realize we're in a transition right now. We're going to go from quarter to semesters. Right now, I think it'd be finals week. Is that what I'm reading? Okay, so this what? Graduation week. Okay, so there are going to be some transitions, and again, this was part of the dialogue 2 Mondays ago, accepting the fact that we should have some kind of spring festival put together. And again, it's a dialogue that goes on. Probably, if we're talking, as you say, And what he's talking is involvement of all parties, including the student bodies. It's quite obviously we need to get the student component in there too, what the expectations of this party looks like. And again, it will not stop house parties, because all you are welcome to have a house party whenever you want. It will stop the massive mega house, multiple house parties. But the fact, because that's where the danger lies. So maybe we are talking about organization, but again, it will be all the university, it will be the city, and it will be the students as well, working together on this. Again, we have to make that evaluation. You have to look and say, Halloween costs us quite a bit of money too, okay? And we accept that it pretty much taps out our resources too. We're pretty much at the stretching point on that. And the tendency is to try making something better every year, and that's a double-edged sword. Say, oh, this was a good time, let's double it up. And that's where the logistics get in the way, the space doesn't work anymore. So we have more to go. And as I say, this semester's quarter semester is going to be a state of flux. So we are in transition and we're looking at it.
Halloween occurs entirely on public property, on city right-of-way in the downtown area. It's a sanctioned event. The council passes ordinances providing for the street closure, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the attendance in this day and age to Halloween, people come to the Halloween event understanding that this is a public event. It happens in city right-of-way on public property, where we clearly have authority as a police department and a city to control and administer expectations and things like that. In contrast, these fests happen entirely on private property, where there is currently no legal mechanism to control or regulate the size of the party, etc., unless it violates one of the laws like the nuisance party ordinance or one of those things that are in place. So going to the lady had mentioned freedom of assembly is not constitutionally protected. It actually is. Its riotous behavior is not constitutionally protected. And so you have to allow for crowds to assemble if they're reasonable, and it's in their actions that we would then take action if it's against a law or a violation of somebody's constitutional rights. And that's often the dilemma that the police department faces in attempting to police these fests, in that there's private property issues going on that at some point begin to affect public right-of-way, and that's where we get involved. So big contrast between Halloween and the fest. I just wanted to point that out.
How many landlords are here? How many landlords are here today? See, that's part of the issue. Part of the issue is that we have folks that rent property, private property, and it is private, I acknowledge that, but students understand that no landlord's going to show up. I mean, I don't think any landlords came to Palmer Fest, but they sure collected the rent at the end of the month. So my point is that we would love to have more control of the visitors and the guests that come for the festivals. But because most of those occur on private property, it's outside of the university's jurisdiction. If any student living on campus, and we have had that conversation, if any students on campus invite guests during the festival weekends, we're certainly looking into having those students register.
This requires the police department to work with the student body. I don't think it's necessary to have a show of force every time there is a festival. It is not necessary to show up in riot gear and mounted horses. Now, you know, when I was here in school, and if I saw a mounted horse, I would think that something was going on. There's no reason to give the students a reason to act out, and showing up in riot gear creates some of that inciting behavior. Now, I know you have a very difficult job, and I'm not being critical, but I also, President McDavis, have seen some of the video. Not all the video is good on the way in which some students were treated. Okay, you don't slam a head down with a kid in handcuffs that's already on the ground. Now, it's a suggestion that maybe the police department looks at tactics a little bit differently than what they have in the past.
I respectfully disagree with Mr. Adams' comments regarding the actions of the police force. They were necessary, they did their job.
The police department doesn't arrive at the fest in riot gear. We both departments and the outside officers and the OSP who assist us arrive at the festivals in just normal uniform, the riot gear that we would don in the event of a situation like happened 10 days ago. We have actually stored in transport vans, in bags, and when the situation calls for it, like bottles and cans and rocks and stuff being thrown at the fire truck and the police officers and whatnot, then we evacuate the area, put that gear on, and go back in to try to restore order. I don't think that the mounted police that we utilize during the fests that people find them intimidating. I've stood for 10 years next to the mounted police during these events, and I actually think the students really find it as an icebreaker to come forward, not students, the attendants, find it as an icebreaker to come forward, ask to pet the horse. The mounted officers are very popular with the student body. If you go downtown any weekend that mounted is working, you'll see them surrounded by groups of young people talking about horses, their love for animals, and petting the horses and getting to know the officers. So I just disagree with that assessment that it's immediately intimidating. Can they be in a riotous situation where they form up and move a crowd? Absolutely, and I think you'll see that on the videos over and over again, that they can be a force that are very, very useful in a crowd control situation.